Hey everyone, I'm Michelle. Welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk a little bit about transitional regrets. Transitional regrets, to me, and I think to a lot of people, is a big game changer sometimes. So what I mean is when I was younger and working my way through life and kind of figuring things out and whatnot, one of the big regrets I have is I didn't transition sooner. Now, this is going to be kind of like a little touchy with some people because it can be a sensitive subject to some. So when I met my ex-wife, I was 18 and we were together for a while before we got married. She got pregnant. We had my first daughter. So I went into all of this without the intent of transitioning. I never intended to get married, have some kids, and then go, hey, I'm sorry, I'm going to transition now. You're on your own. Like, there was never any intention of ever transitioning, ever. So we're talking like, the year 2000 when we got married. And, there was no, at that time, like, resources were at a minimal, there was nothing for me to really look at, especially YouTube. Like, there was no videos, it didn't exist, right? So for me to even consider like transitioning at that time was like, I couldn't even fathom it. Like, I literally could not fathom it. And, nobody knows the future. Nobody knows that, hey, come 8 years, 10 years from now, there's going to be a program or a platform that's going to allow you access to all sorts of resources and people sharing their experiences and blah, blah. Like, nobody knows, like, nobody knew this was going to happen. And I know there's people that have transitioned in the past without all of this, so to put my mind into perspective and to make it so that you can understand was my anxiety versus my dysphoria. Okay. So when I would consider transitioning and things like that, my dysphoria was heightened, right? But then, because I was talking about transitioning and becoming a woman or presenting as a woman and going out into the public and have people look at me, now my anxiety would jump to here and would overtake my dysphoria, like times 10. So my anxiety would stop my dysphoria every single time, okay? So as time would go on, my dysphoria would kind of build again, and it would also just peak a little bit and be like, hey, I'm still here, don't forget about me, right? And I'd be like, okay, this is, I think I'm ready. And then all of a sudden, the thoughts in your head go, well, now you're going out into public again. People are going to be looking at you. People are going to, you're going to care what people think about you. My anxiety would now again spike and overtake the dysphoria. So this was this constant back and forth for 20 years of my life with my ex-wife. We had kids in the house and we did the whole 9 yards because I had no intentions going into a marriage to end it and destroy it. Like, there was never any intentions of that because I was happy to some extent. Yes, I was happy, with my children. I was happy with, we had the house. Like, I was happy with life for the most part. But in the background, there's always that dysphoria that keeps creeping and it keeps creeping and it keeps creeping because in reality, I was not happy internally. Like, I was not matching my outside. A regret that I have is not being able to manage my anxiety sooner, to change sooner, if that makes sense. I would have loved to change, around 18 or so before I was able to have a family. Now, do I regret having a family? Absolutely not. Like, I love my kids and, we have such a strong relationship. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, there is some regret that I wasn't able to transition sooner to have better effects, So that's a I'll never know, and maybe the effects wouldn't have been any different. Maybe things would have been even worse for me. Maybe if I didn't go down the path that I did, maybe things would have been so much worse in my life. Who knows? So I do believe somewhat in fate, and there is a, I'm not going to say higher power because I don't believe in a higher power, but I do believe that there is a guidance, a thread that you're following, and I'm not going to say predetermined, but like it's definitely like there is something that kind of guides you the way you need to go for the most part. So some other regrets would be regrets of like bottom surgery. Do I regret bottom surgery? Absolutely not. I don't regret bottom surgery. The one regret that I do kind of have, which was in my last video, I do regret having the penile inversion method. If I could go back now, I would probably have not have had that done, just because of, I don't know if I'll ever have a partner. I might just be alone for the rest of my life, and I'm kind of content with that. I actually enjoy the time that I have, and I spend a lot of time with my children, and it's just, it's been really good for me mentally not being bogged down in a relationship. So, and this has given me a lot of time to like really learn about myself and figure out who I really am. So, bottom surgery, I would probably change that a little bit. Now, I'm not saying, the penile inversion is not the way to, is wrong and you're not going to like it, because people with a partner, they say they do like it. And that's fantastic. And I don't think I want to go down that route, I guess. Or maybe I will someday. Who knows? I don't know what the future is going to bring. So, but I would go back because the way the penile inversion feels, having objects inside, it's not the same because it's not real. So there's not a lot of sensation other than pain or discomfort. Like I'm past like kind of like the pain stage of it, but there is a lot of discomfort having something in there, and it's really hard to find pleasure in that. So I could live without it, I could definitely live without that part. So that's kind of like another regret, I guess. Top surgery. So top surgery, do I have regrets with that? I think the only regret I have would be I would have gone a little bit bigger knowing what I know now and how I feel now. So I initially, when I had my breast augmentation done, I wanted to go as natural as possible. I wanted to blend into society as best as possible. Now, so I'm 5'10", and a lot of like taller, thin women usually don't have like ginormous breasts, right? Like it's just not a thing. There are exceptions, yes, but for the most part, like tall, thin women, like they don't have like monstrous breasts. So I wanted to kind of be as natural as possible. So I did like a lot of research, and I know it sounds kind of weird, like researching, but like I would look at a lot of people that were tall, like a lot of women that were tall, and just to see what, kind of gauge like what size I should be to kind of look most natural. So the size I went with was, I was torn between 350 cc's and 375. And I told the doctor, I said, listen, once when, you're ready to put them in, see which one looks more natural, and I'll leave it in your hands. And the doctor ended up coming out with the 350s, saying he believed that was more natural. He had the nurses kind of like assess, and like that looked more natural, I guess, than the 375s. So I was okay with that. And I said, okay, great. You made the right choice, which it's still, they're fine. Like, I just wish there would have been more cleavage. So a little bit bigger would give me that more cleavage. Also, probably the pocket that he created maybe could have been a little bit closer. I don't know. I guess it all depends on like the size too. So a regret with that would be I would have gone maybe a little bit bigger. I wouldn't have gone huge because that just comes with health risks that I just don't want to deal with. So I just wanted to kind of be as natural as possible. But I would go a little bit bigger. And then kind of like the big one, do I regret actually transitioning? This one kind of depends sometimes on my day and how things are going in my life. I sometimes do have regrets where I say, oh, I should have never transitioned. I should have stayed you know, what I was actually biologically born as. But at the end of the day, I wasn't happy as that person either. Not to say that I'm not happy now, but I was definitely not happy. So I I did not like being out in public as a man. I was very self-conscious about myself. I was very shy. I was very withdrawn, and I did not feel comfortable. So like I have like hardly any pictures of myself as a male. Like I do have some, but there's very little because I never wanted to be in a picture because I felt uncomfortable in my own skin. I didn't feel right. It wasn't who I was inside. And it caused me so much anxiety and so much just depression of like I can't, this is not who I am. Like who I saw in the picture, who I saw in the mirror was just, it just gave me like so much anxiety, and that it destroyed, it ate me from the inside out. And now, after transitioning, I have like 20,000 pictures. Like I can't stop taking pictures. And I know that sounds like wicked, self-centered and conceited, but like I love seeing the pictures. I love seeing the transition. I love seeing, trying like the different outfits, and I love seeing like doing like my hair. I love all of those things that I was never able to do and experience because it became more natural to me. Like me being a male was not very natural to me. I had to put a lot of work in, and it sounds kind of funny, but like I had to put a lot of work in to being a man versus me being a woman. Like I stepped into this transition as and became Michelle, and I it flowed. Like it was very fluid. It just worked. Like I didn't have to put a lot of effort in to becoming this person because it was already there underneath the skin. It was already there in my soul and in my heart. And these were the things that like I everything was being locked up. And when I was like a man, it was like all caged and locked up, and it was awful. Like it was such an awful experience. And now I am so much happier as this person, as the person you see and as the public sees, and I'm so much more outgoing, and the things I can do, like it's changed my life forever, but in the best of ways. So do I regret? Not really. Sometimes yes, because I look back at, I miss, certain aspects of my old life, but I also lived as that person for, 37 years, 36 years. So yeah, I have a lot of memories of that other person. I have a lot of shared memories and things that, I can no longer get back because I transitioned, if that makes sense. So I guess those are kind of like the regrets that I have. And I think those are the regrets that you should think about going into a transition, that, there's certain things that you're definitely going to lose, and you're always going to have regrets. Like there's pretty much everything in life, you're going to have a regret. There are some one-offs and there are some exceptions, of course, but for the most part, everything you do comes with regret to some extent, I believe. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.